Welcome back, Backroadians. Deborah the Bee back with another video from the Backroads 2. Thanks a lot for being here today. So I'm going to go ahead and extend that original video that I just did seconds ago. We're going to talk about this idea that I had to live to be 100 years old. Now, during that time, I was very, very healthy. I think I was healthy, physically healthy, mentally and emotionally, not so sure. And we'll talk about that as well right now on this video. But health-wise, I was 100% raw vegan. I only ate raw fruits and vegetables. I did not cook any of my food. During that time, I felt as though it denatured the food. And I felt as though also when you eat fresh fruit and vegetables, you're eating living food. Like it's alive in a way. Now, the best way to eat that is straight from the tree or straight from the ground. And I tried during that time to do that. I was picking berries and things like that. And I was doing videos on my channel about that too. But I had this idea to live to be 100 or more. And I found that when I would express this to people, it would make them mad. It would literally irritate them. And I think the reason why is because I had not experienced like the death of a loved one to the extent of it basically breaking my heart and going through that grief and the loss. And that I had really not experienced that. And I think that a lot of people felt like I was naive, immature, and I had no idea what I was talking about. To sit there and say that I wanted to live to be 100 years old. Now, since that channel and since that idea of the 100 years old, I have experienced so much of that. And it is heartbreaking and it is very difficult to go through. And in a way, you lose your ever-loving mind. And sometimes you don't come back from it. Sometimes you stay within this grieving period and this living in the past for years. And I really did. I couldn't like go to the store and see people that I normally would be very supportive of. You know, if they were going through something, I was there for them. And when I would be honest with them, when they would ask me how I was doing, and I would be honest with them and tell them, I would start to cry. And then they would see me crying, you know, which was totally unusual. And it would make them cry. And then I would cry even more because I had made them cry. Because I was crying, you know what I mean? So it got to where I didn't really want to go out or see anyone. Because it was just so hard. I traveled during that time. And when I went back to these areas that I had visited, I don't remember them. They don't even look familiar to me. And that was kind of scary to realize that I was so deep in grief that I didn't have any memories, you know? It was new to me. I'd never really traveled alone. It was all about my family, all about my children, all about my grandchildren. It was all about somebody else. So when I went by myself, it was a very scary thing. I'd never picked the hotel to stay in. I'd never picked the restaurant to eat in. I'd never picked the campground to stay in. How long would I stay there? I never put up a camp by myself. You know what I mean? All these things that I'd never done before, I was doing. So in a way, maybe my brain was focused on that and not retaining anything, maybe. I don't know. But during that time, I kind of lost track of my family in a way. As far as their needing me, let's say. And in a way, if you look at that as a caregiver, as a family member, you kind of look at it as, did they really need me or were they using me? And now that I'm not around, you know, they've found others or they've depended on themselves. There's all sorts of ways that you can look at it. I did the video that this person commented about my previous channel. That derived from something that happened that a family member did that was terrible. And it was someone that I was very helpful to for many years. And I've not spoken to that person since then. And that would have been September of last year. So I look at, it was like Labor Day actually. My life kind of changed because it opened up my eyes to something that maybe I hadn't been looking at, right? So during this time of, I guess, all of this challenge, all of these trials and tribulations, I kind of lost this healthy role. And I started opening myself up to eating things that I probably shouldn't have. And it is interesting that this person commented because I have been trying to get back to that type of lifestyle because I feel like it's healthiest for me. Now, I did lose a lot of weight, and I think it was just from working and trying to eat as healthy as I could and not eat things that I knew weren't healthy for me. Like, I can't have Hamburger Helper, y'all. I know it tastes really good, but I can't eat it. I look at it as out of a box. It's dead food in my opinion. And it's got a powder for the cheese. You know what I mean? I understand if you're on a budget, and I understand if your body can tolerate that, but mine can't. So I'm not knocking people that do that. I love to eat a can of garbanzo beans. I love just heating it up in my pan on my 1-burner Coleman stove. Is it Coleman? I think it's Coleman. And maybe putting some butter on it, maybe not. Putting some, maybe some spices on it, herbs on it, you know, and eating that up, whole can. I can do that. I like black-eyed peas, like those. Celery is my favorite vegetable. And I was thinking about today going to get some cucumbers because they're very hydrating and they're really good for you. They're good for your skin and such. So those are little baby steps that I'm going to try to get back on this health wagon that I was on before. So, but the 100-year, I can kind of understand now why people were upset every time I would say I'm gonna try to live to be 100. To be quite honest with you, I looked at it as my work. I looked at it as research. And after my parents died, all of my research papers, any kind of notes that I had were all taken to the dump and trashed because I didn't have a vehicle to get them. So I had a lot of research notes on myself. But I will tell you this, I now am a different person, and I now know that you change, we age, your life circumstances change, your environments change, your attitude changes, and that affects your health. And so as far as who I was then and who I am now, completely different people in all ways, in every single way. But the one part that didn't break me, the one part that stayed the same, was my love for the world and for people, and my empathy for others, and my concern and care for the underprivileged, let's say. And I know a lot of people say, well, you're living in your car, you know, you're like sleeping in your car at night, and you're just, you know, just finding places to just finding things to do during the day. How can you, you know, I don't know. So I was raised a certain way, I guess, to see myself in a different light maybe, and that's not ego. I will tell you this, there were people that broke my ego. So I would say I don't really have an ego anymore. That pretty much was abolished. And I think that ego is a good thing. I think that ego in a way protects you and it keeps you safe sometimes. And if I do have an ego, that would be where it would be used. But to say any of this other stuff, nah. And I'm glad about that, because I don't follow trends. I don't compare myself to others, and I don't take myself too seriously anymore. So that's a nice thing. But to live to 100, that's interesting. I'll probably think about that a little longer. Maybe we'll get back on that. I don't know, but I thought I'd share that with you today as well. Thanks for being here. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see future videos. And get out there and spread those little pieces of peace. They're little pieces of you out there in this world, and it's important. Thanks a lot for being here. We'll see y'all on down the road. Bye-bye.